What on earth is going on with this church here? It looks bullied by those buildings around it, man. Welcome to Bucharest, everybody. Let's go. So we are slowly but surely walking towards the stadium, Lia Manoliu Stadium. This is the national and biggest venue of Romania. So the game we will be watching today is the game of the champions, football club FCSB. FCSB means football club Steaua Bucharests. So they have the term football club twice. Can happen. Now for me, this would be the second time in 6 days that I am walking towards the same stadium. I was there last Monday to watch the local derby between Dinamo Bucharest and Rapid Bucharest. What is it, mate? They're coming. And I think this is an opportune moment to show you some of that footage. And we will be coming back right after. Kosovo is Serbia. Steaua sticker destroyed. Look at this glasswork, man. Even on street level, this church is fascinating. So here we are going to the National Stadium of Romania, man. I've never been there. I've been to the other stadiums to watch Rapid, Steaua and Dinamo back then, but never to this big one. This here building was once upon a time a sanitarium where the national poet of Romania, Mihai Eminescu, died. Now Romania is in the middle of everybody's attention, actually, for being the only country in Europe that has managed to cancel a democratic election. Now, we will talk about that. Dinamo and Rapid do not share the extreme story that Steaua has. Dinamo, for example, they had the misfortune some years back to have the major shareholder abandon them, and because of that they ended up, oh, look at this, Olympiacos, Gavros. So Dinamo had the misfortune to almost fail, and it was a group of supporters of Dinamo that saved the team for a year or two. I think it was a couple of seasons ago that they actually got relegated, but they came back very fast. It took them a year.
As for Dinamo Ultras, they managed to do some pretty interesting actions. Check this out, for example. They organized a choreography on a game of FCSB right in only Dinamo Bucharest. That's fun, man. I mean...
Rapid, if I'm not mistaken, they had the misfortune of internal fights. The Ultras were fighting with each other.
That would be Peluza Nord, the ultra stand of Rapid, against the Tribuna 2, the lateral stand, and the groups that went there.
And at some point,
some groups of Rapid joined Tribuna 2, T2, in order to escape from the mafia that was gathering in the Peluza Nord. They were even attacked in Tribuna 2 by Peluza Nord. There were also some stories with gun use. I don't know, man, it's weird. And they ended up forming a second team of Rapid. Anyway, all this is in the past. Rapid is now only one team.
what the hell happened to you, dear? Poor thing, isn't it? Have you seen anything more beautiful than the sunset caressing the Eastern Bloc ugliness. It is green though, I mean, no complaints. We are on the right path, my friends. I hear some singing and a drum from that direction. That was Rapid for you. Okay, let's get in because we have about half an hour.
Dinamo Ultras seem to be divided in a million pieces. So there is the Pelusa, Catalin Hildan, I guess. There is this small group, the LN. There is this bigger group that's closer to the visitors. I think that's Pelusa Sud. And there is an even smaller one with a Roma banner.
So, what did you guys reckon about this local derby here, man? The stadium is huge, but besides that, it was half empty, which kind of makes sense if you take in consideration that it's Monday, plus that Dinamo and Rapid, they are in the playoffs, but they are mid-table. In my opinion, Rapid had the best support. Dinamo was a bit weird. Dinamo had a half-empty stand. I mean, the Pelusa Nord was half empty, and there were two other groups on the side. And from what I understood from the people next to me, these are groups that have left the main stand, the main ultra stand, I mean, because apparently the leader of that stand has some very good connections with the current club management, which looks weird to the rest of the groups. And the smaller of the three groups had quite a lot of tifos. I mean, they had a big banner, they had the flags, they had a small, very small choreography. This DLN, Dinamo Lux Nostrum, something like that. As for Rapid, they were great, man. They had pyro, very cool. Bucharest is a very interesting city in terms of beauty. I mean, it has this spectacular combination between beauty and ugliness, just like Athens actually, which makes it extremely charming. And at this time, on a Monday night, it's even better. I mean, it's even more charming. So what do you guys think of the atmosphere of last Monday, man? I tell you what, for me it's absolutely insane to see the three groups, the three different groups of Dinamo. Who knows how this is going to evolve? Anyway, the following day I paid a visit to the stadium of Dinamo, which is in a somewhat derelict state, but I learned that they are planning to build a new one. So, yeah, probably it will work out well. Look at this, man. The old Dinamo Stadium. What is this? Is it a training session? There is a very big crowd down there. Yeah, the siren sound is quite common for this city. I think every 10 minutes I hear a different siren for some reason. Dinamo doesn't play, for example, the big match that we watched the other day against Rapid was played in Lia Manoliu. However, this stadium, a bit derelict as it may be, still exists. Nobody like us. Well, this toilet is unlike anything you've ever imagined. The hell, man, it really looks like here. Whatever happened to this stadium? Nobody takes care of it, apparently. Look at this, broken glasses. So the two teams that we will be watching today are actually two halves of two previously existing football clubs. One of them is the proud winner of one European Cup. That is Steaua, who won the European Cup back in 1986. Look at this. We have a Romanian Parthenon. Wow, look at this. So this is, believe it or not, a Christian church. Don't ask me why the columns. You can never know with these Christian ones. I mean, appropriation is not just a word. That statue over there was of one of our heroes from back in 1821, the revolution against the Ottomans. Rigas, Velestinlis. Now, I'm not gonna tell you what the Ottomans did to him because bye-bye monetization. It is absolutely sensational though with the two football clubs, FCSB and CS Universitatea Craiova, that they are facing today, is the fact that the supporters of the other club with whom they were previously united absolutely hate their guts. So I'll try to explain more or less how these divisions came about, man. And we are talking about the years right after the end of the Second World War. The already existing football clubs were forced to dissolve. And these teams were replaced by others that would represent the different sectors of basically the new society. So you have teams representing, for example, I don't know, police, that's Dinamo, the army, that's Steaua, the Ministry of Transportation, that would be Rapid, or for example CFR Cluj, the steel industry, Oțelul Galați would be that, or various educational institutions, for example Politehnica Timișoara, we watched them last week, or this one here, Universitatea Craiova, the University of Craiova. Everything changed the moment that Romania was not a communist state anymore. After 1989, all these previously state-owned football clubs were more or less forced into private ownership, and that complicated things to a level that's beyond comprehension. Now for Steaua, this change came 9 years after the revolution. You see, it was in 1998 that the football part of the sports club Steaua had to be separated. Sports club Steaua being a multi-sport organization. Steaua, of course, was the club of the army. So the army ceded the name and the badge to the newly established football club. But not forever, mind you. They ceded it for the following 20 years. And here we are, Anno Domini 2003. It was in this year that Romanian football's most iconic, controversial and deluded figurehead appeared in the scene. That would be the contemporary owner of FCSB, Gigi Becali, nicknamed Gigi. But it was back then in 2003 that this particular individual bought 51% of Steaua and became the major shareholder. So I should probably share with you the story of this modern day dandy. Becali was an Romanian shepherd. The moment communism collapsed, Gigi Becali saw a chance for entrepreneurial endeavors. So he goes to the Ministry of Defense and he offers them a huge piece of land that he didn't own instead of their own, the army-owned land in the north of Bucharest, in the Pipera area, an area with huge potential. The Ministry of Defense realizes that the area proposed by Becali is actually bigger than their own in Pipera, so they accept. Now, as we said previously, Becali didn't own that area when this deal was confirmed. So he made some fast-track steps to buy that piece of land first and then sell it to the army and buying back their own piece of land in Pipera. Check it out, man. I mean, the existence of these small and very beautiful churches between these horrible buildings. It's funny, isn't it? So Becali is the major shareholder of the football section of Steaua, and what he did right after was nothing less of brilliant. He proceeded to establish a new company called Football Club Steaua SA. Check it out, UEFA Mafia, okay, Ultras Craiova, that's not. Now this is the most interesting man. Down with the Satanists. That guy does. Down with the Satanists. So here's Becali establishing this new firm, this new company, taking the entire team of Steaua, the position in the league table, but none of the debt. Absolutely brilliant, isn't it? Fast forward 11 years later, and the Romanian state, the Ministry of Defense that is, demands that the new Steaua of Gigi Becali stops using their emblem, and all hell breaks loose. Right after this, Steaua played their first home game with no badge and without a name actually. I mean, on the board of the stadium it said home team, nothing referring to the old Steaua. Becali went right on to establish this new football club FCSB. The Ministry of Defense, the old Steaua, I mean the sports club Steaua, demanded recompensation for the use of the name, while at the same time 3 years later in 2017 the sports club Steaua re-establishes the football section of the club, which started its new adventure in the Romanian football from the 4th tier. And this is important because today's adversaries, they started at the 2nd tier. What's interesting here is the question, who exactly is the heir of the history of this football club? The rich history, mind you. Remember, there is a European Cup involved. The various courts decided that the new entity, which started from the 4th tier of Romanian football, is the legal heir of the history and palmarès of the old Steaua, at least until the year 1998. After that, there would be the football club Steaua, the one that the army granted permission to use their badge. So imagine being a supporter of, I don't know, Juventus or Real Madrid or Inter, Milan, whatever, Olympiacos, AEK, and having your history, the history of your football club. Flipping hell, the dangers! Bloody hell, man. Anyway, the history of your football club dealt such a blow. Because remember, this is what Steaua is or was in the Romanian football, the equivalent of Juventus, Real Madrid, that kind of club. Now Craiova faces a somewhat similar story, which I will be very brief because it's a lot more complicated than the one of Steaua, and also we are not in Craiova. If we were, it would be a whole episode on this story. I mean, look at this tree, man. Actually, look at this parasite that's living off our tree here. Such is the complexity of all these stories of the two Craiovas, the two Steauas. So I can basically hear the commentator of the stadium. Let's get on with it. What can I say, man, about Craiova? I mean, we're talking about a city of 270,000 inhabitants, which once had one much beloved team, and now they have two teams with the same colors, almost the same badge and same name, almost, who hate each other. Like... You see, the original FC University, Universitatea Craiova, was dissolved in 2011 when their owner could not sustain, financially that is, the club anymore. He had just fired a well-known coach, Victor Pițurcă, and he wasn't capable or able to compensate him. The Romanian Federation stopped recognizing FC Universitatea Craiova. They stopped recognizing one of the most historical and successful football clubs in the country. A couple of years later, the member of the Social Democrat Party of Romania, who wanted to become mayor in that period, Lia Olguța Vasilescu, who, in order to gain popularity and votes, decides to rebuild the stadium of Craiova. And they actually built a gem. I mean, it's like a small velodrome. They reinvent the club, and the former owner of the previous club, the historical club, starts asking for money from the city hall to invest. The city hall says no, and he gets extremely upset and moves on and proceeds to establish the second football club with a very similar name, similar colors, similar badge, you name it. And this would be the moment. Oh, look at this, backlit, check it out, we are a movie. And this would be the moment that I'll say, don't quote me on any of this because I'm actually citing them from memory. So this time we are up there. Look at this, man, they will have a parade. There you have it, man. I mean, it finally happened. We have the first football club, Steaua Bucharests, so FCSB, the false Steaua, sorry about that, I'm bitter, that hasn't permitted us to get in because of this. The charger, I mean the battery charger. Can you believe that? So, yeah, you won't be seeing any kind of footage from this game because we are simply not allowed. Amazing. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. We are allowed to Inter Milan or to, I don't know, to Bilbao, but we're not allowed here. It is what it is. I mean, the ticket was very cheap actually, so I'm not crying the lost money. Interesting. The first stadium we were not allowed to get in, not because of the camera, but because of the bloody charger. Wow. They're cursing Dinamo. At least Dinamo is a real club, you know, not a clone. Not even a clone. I think Craiova has this nickname. What a unique situation, man. I still can't believe it. laughing, first of all because I'm still pissed, and second of all because of the fans. I mean, the fans are shouting Steaua, Steaua back there, which is weird, but they are. So, yeah. My ticket. Down with the Satanists. I concur. Down with the Satanists. Since I am still extremely pissed off, let's continue the story, the life story of Gigi Becali, at whose house, or should I say palace, I actually walked the other day, and I met with a group of people who are standing in front of the palace waiting for the emperor to come out and give them some money, niște bănuții, because the emperor gives to the people. He didn't let me in. Ce e asta?
Palatul lui Becali.
Ce așteaptă lumea?
Bani. Să-l ajute cu bani.
Ajută, domnul?
Da.
Domnul?
Aoleu.
Să rămână, mulțumesc! E adevărat că clădirea asta a fost de regele Carol, la un moment dat?
Nu știu. Așa e, da.
Să rămână, mulțumesc! This road is probably the most beautiful avenue of Bucharest, and we have Gigi Becali's Golden Palace situated here. Other important buildings are, for example, this one, the Embassy of Ukraine, the war-torn Ukraine. Now, Ukraine has an actual border with Romania, and it has been the major, or one of the major, arguments in this year electoral campaign in Romania. As most of you probably have guessed, there is a reason why I came to the house of a figure like George or Gigi Becali. There is no other persona that can be associated so, I don't know, intensely, let's say, with the Romanian football and the Romanian politics. And you heard those guys, right? They are out there waiting for Gigi to go out and hand them money, and this happens on a daily basis. The building reminds of the Rodin Museum in Paris. It's actually somewhat of a replica of it, and it was actually built by the former king of Romania, Carol II, to host a mistress. Now Becali bought it and restored it with the typical extravaganza that goes hand in hand with his person. I actually saw an interview of Gigi the other day. I think he used the word emperor about 50 times.
Împăratul, împăratul, împărat, 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 împăratul, împărat, 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 ce împăratul, împărat, 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 pentru că eu sunt împăratul. Hai, Domnul să vă ajute.
Look at this. So after Nenea Gigi made all these weird deals with the Ministry of Defense and became filthy rich, and while he was in the process of making all this mess with Steaua, he thought it was an excellent idea to get involved into politics. He was actually voted to the European Parliament, where he didn't really like to go. I think he was present to some 20-30% of the total time, present time. He also managed to get arrested and sentenced to prison. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison because of the whole dubious entrepreneurial moves. While in prison, he discovers Jesus. He already had a strong connection with the Lord. Apparently they were communicating in some way.
Pentru că eu tot ce fac, fac cu Hristos.
And he manages to be released earlier than the 3 years. When Gigi was released, he started sending missionaries to build churches, Christian churches, in countries like Rwanda, Congo, Uganda, you name it.
Gigi Becali is, of course, an ultra-nationalist, anti-gay, anti-feminist, anti-immigrant, I don't know what kind of persona.